It's been a eventful 2024, to say the least, for the Crusader football program. Earlier in the new year, head coach Herb Haygood steps down, and it's a quick hiring process to get Brett Gminski from Pikeville, the big offensive mind, to the Crusaders and welcome him to Livonia. He had to get going quickly as he was hired on January 25th, 2024, and had to hit the ground running in the offseason, get the staff, get his players, and get everyone ready for week 0 that felt like it was forever away. But here we are awaiting at the tail end of August in Livonia, Michigan. Speaking of the coaching staff, head coach Brett Gminski, assistant offensive coordinator, strength and conditioning coach, and offensive line coach Philip Gould, and defensive coordinator, the mastermind, the All-American linebacker from 2008 in Rizzle McCoy, are the coaching staff this season. Let's kick it aside and talk to the coaching staff to preview the 2024 Crusader football season. Some may call it the Brett Gminski era. Sean Massa and head coach Brett Gminski. Coach, you were announced the head coach of Madonna football, the second in history, on January 25th. How was that hiring process for you? And can you describe the emotion of, getting that call?
Obviously, when it's your first head coaching job, there's always a lot of emotion into it. It's something you work for a long time for as an assistant. It was also emotional because I was really happy where I was at Pikeville. Great program. Corey Phipp's been a great mentor to me, so it was hard to leave that place, but very excited to come here and get a chance to lead this program. Process was pretty smooth. Coach Emmenheiser did a great job of giving me great expectations and just love his vision for the athletic department. So, it was a awesome process, getting to meet everybody, come on campus, getting to meet with the players. So all in all, I think it went really well. And yeah, absolutely, definitely some emotion, but super excited to get started here.
And then obviously we talked about it. January 25th was the date. So you're already kind of semi into the off season. Can you describe me the experience of having a shortened off season, kind of just being thrown into the fire and having to hit the ground running?
Yeah, absolutely. With my career, probably would have it no other way. It was a pretty cool process just getting to go through hiring staff. I think I'm very lucky with the staff we were able to hire and the people we were able to bring in, with Coach McCoy, Coach Gould leading both sides of the ball. Very excited about that. Obviously with recruiting, we had to hit the ground running really fast. I'm also not a Michigander, so this was very new for me. First time I ever stepped foot in the state of Michigan was during my on-campus interviews. So getting just to have brand new relationships with the high school coaches in the area, and being able to, talk to some of the guys that I've coached before and bring some of them in was a really special experience. I'm all about relationships, all about, kind of getting a footprint in the area. So it's been really cool to be able to do that. But, overall, we've worked really hard, a lot of sleepless nights just trying to make sure we have everything right, but it's been an awesome transition so far.
And then you talk about your time at Pikeville. You ran a high-powered offense, for lack of better words. You've ran a really good offensive scheme every step of the way in your coaching career. How has your coaching career, almost every single chapter, prepared you for this one, your first head coaching job?
Yeah, I think it more is a testament to the mentors that I've had, not necessarily, anything I've done particularly. I also think we've had great players everywhere I've been. I think every college football program has great players in it. A lot of it's just about development, getting guys in the right scheme, getting guys in the right, process. And, our scheme has looked different almost everywhere I've been. And a lot of that's just because we've molded stuff to the players that we've been around. But yeah, again, just the mentors that I've had, Corey Phipps, Mike Jasper, MD Daniels, John Garrett, Bobby Wilder, Bro Scott, all guys that have really poured into me. And I think that's been a big testament of why we've been able to have the success we've had. And, I'm very excited to, write the next chapter of that here.
And then you can't talk about the on-field performance without talking about the quarterback position. Every coach will say, well, everything matters the most. But if anyone says anything, they're going to talk about the quarterbacks. You have a pretty interesting quarterback room situation coming in. A lot of possibilities. Returners of Keel Watson, Max Morris, Jonathan Renthrope, and a couple new faces in the mix. What can you tell us about your quarterback situation heading into week 0?
Man, I'll tell you this, that they're a smart group of guys. Really excited about our quarterback room. Really excited about the progress they've made in this system from spring to now. Some of the guys that have come in that have had to learn pretty quickly. Very excited about our quarterback room and what they're going to be able to bring. I think some guys of key note like Keel Watson, John Renthrope, Max Morris, Melias Kane, David McCollum. We've had some good guys come in here and do a lot with our system. And, we're just very excited to see how that continues to shape out throughout camp. We're kind of getting towards the tail end. So we got a few more scrimmages left. But overall, very, very excited about our quarterback room and what they've been able to do so far.
And then you talk about those two new faces in the room right there, and you have a lot of new faces just up and down the roster, every single position, but you're also returning a few key players, some who we'll talk to later on in this video. How has that been for you? How have they been, ever since you got here? They're going through a new coaching change too. It's different for them. How have they been throughout camp, kind of trying to lead the way a little bit?
I think that's what's been interesting about my coaching career a little bit is I've been on both sides. I've been on the new incoming staff as an assistant. I've been on a staff that's been on its way out. So I understand the emotions that go with both chains of that. So for me, it was super important when we came in here to make it very clear that we're trying to win with the players that have been here and then add to them with the plethora of talent that we've had coming in. So for me, we talk about being team oriented. And we talk about being a team that is going to come together. We're not trying to replace guys. We're not trying to just, wipe it clean. For us, we want to build this together. So we've tried to, get guys bought in. And I think our team's done a great job of coming together. Our guys interact really well. The energy's been amazing. So overall, I'm very excited with what we've been able to do, both with the guys that are returning and the guys we've had coming in. So I think some big possibilities for us if we can continue that trend.
Thank you, Coach. Sean Massa, Brett Kaminsky. We'll have Philip Gould on the other side of this quick little break. Sean Massa, Associate Offensive Coordinator, Philip Gould. Coach, you've coached every position group kind of across the offense at separate stops in your coaching career. Tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, now the offensive line you're working with here at Madonna. How has every single position group kind of as a whole shaped your outlook on coaching different groups?
I think the biggest thing that it's given me is a lot of perspective on how those groups interact together. Not just on individual plays, but as a unit as a whole as an offense, especially here at Madonna, bringing the experience I've had previously with Coach Kaminsky at Iowa Wesleyan, and then the stop in between us working together at Milliken where I coach wide receivers, just kind of the synchronicity with all of that and how everything works together just day in and day out.
And then this year at Madonna, you're helping with the offensive line a lot. You have a lot of guys coming back from previous year's offensive line, some new guys coming in. How do you as a coach maximize your offensive line's ability when going into gameplay?
Biggest thing that I stress as a position coach with the offensive line is just going to be having us be assignment sound, making sure we know what we're doing. So once we're on the grass on Saturdays and game days, we can just play fast and play hard.
And then camp coming to an end, week 0 is on the doorstep. Hard to believe with kind of the shortened and fast offseason you guys had. Are there any guys that kind of have caught your eye from a coach's perspective during camp that you're just excited to see hit the ground running in gameplay?
I'm really excited for some of our actually two returners, Luke Crocker and Josh Huffman. They've been doing great jobs, not just positionally on the offensive line, but as really good ambassadors for our program and the community on campus and just leaders of the program as a whole.
And then let's go back to one of your other many titles. You're a jack of all trades, seemingly, here on the coaching staff. Director of Strength and Conditioning for Madonna Football. Being connected a little bit with the shortened offseason. How were you as a Director of Strength and Conditioning for Madonna? How did you shape the offseason knowing that you didn't have as much time that you would normally want to help out?
Especially with us coming in about end of February, obviously, like you said, not as much time to prepare going into this season, but just making sure that our guys got everything they need as far as being able to lift and get our speed training in. We have great facilities here at Madonna, so kind of blessed to be able to use those in the off season, even with some guys using them in the summer. We have a lot of local guys, so that they do have access to that. But I think we've done a lot in the strength conditioning side of things as far as making sure we are preventing injuries. Especially working with our head trainer, Mark Malik. Me and him work really hand in hand on that stuff.
Thank you, Coach. Sean Massa, Philip Gould. We'll talk to the defensive coordinator, Russell McCoy, on the other side. Sean Massa, joined by defensive coordinator, Roselle McCoy Jr. Coach, you were a phenomenal linebacker back in your playing days at Southwestern Oklahoma, and you were an All-American in 2008. How has that been for you? You were focal point of the defense in your playing days. How has that kind of translated onto the coaching side of coaching your defense?
Well, I think it translated from me watching film and how I studied as a player. You see a couple different sides of it, when you are a player to coaching. You get a little bit more in-depth as a coach, and that's led to a tremendous career for me as a coach for my playing days at Southwestern, and the great coaches I did have there at my time being at SWASU was terrific.
We touched base with Coach Kaminsky a little bit about the shortened offseason you guys kind of had, getting the staff together. early on in the new year 2024. How was that for you as a defensive coordinator? Kind of, you didn't have as much time as you normally would like, and kind of implementing that new scheme, teaching these guys how you want to play.
Well, I was prepared. I was ready to come in. I believe the scheme that I've ran over my years as a coach has always put our kids in a great position to be successful. With this scheme, it's not difficult. We try to keep it simple so our guys can be able to fly around and play with elite effort, and have a great process of what we're doing, so our guys can be very physical on the field and be in position to be successful at all times.
We're going to move into the on-the-field direction. How would you describe a Coach McCoy-led defense? When people watch the Crusaders this season and throughout your tenure here, how do you want them to describe the defensive unit you put out in the field?
I want them to know that we're playing as a team-oriented defense. I want them to know we're going to be giving great elite effort, just based off our pillars. I know Coach Kaminsky does a great job in talking about the pillars every day within this program, but I want our guys to be excited about the opportunities that are presented in front of them. I want them to be excited for one another, seeing each other having success. I want us to be together out there as a defense and being able to communicate. I want guys to know that we're going to get the ball back to the offense. I want our guys to play with a lot of enthusiasm and play with a lot of grit as well.
And then you're coming into Madonna and you're inheriting a good crop of talent defensively, most notably Tommy Larson, who led the team in sacks and tackles for loss last season with 7.5 and 10 respectively. How has it been throughout camp, seeing those guys like Tommy Larson, like Nick Miller, play football and seeing firsthand really the crop of talent that you're inheriting to play with as a coach?
It's been great to inherit those guys. Those guys are coming out with great energy every day. They're in position to be able to be coached more each and every day. They want to learn. They want to learn the ins and out of the defense because when you're simple early on, you come fall camp, you got a lot more scheming going on, and those guys are trying to learn those positions in depth now.
That's Coach McCoy talking about his defense, and we talked about it a little bit. Tommy Larson will be on the other side of this quick break talking to myself. Sean Massa, joined by the anchor of the Crusader defense last season and looking forward to his senior year, Tommy Larson. Tommy, you had 7.5 sacks last year, led the team, 10 tackles for loss, tied for second on the team. How are you feeling going into your senior year here as a Crusader?
I'm feeling good. I think we look really good as a team right now. I think we're uniting really well in camp. Camp's been tough for a lot of guys, and it's tough in any aspect. So the fact that we can push through practices and get the scheme down, understand what's being taught to us, I think we look great defensively. I think we're gonna have a great season. I really do.
To talk about you personally a little bit. Earlier in the year, back in January, you were invited to play in the Podium All-Star Bowl down in Miami, the best of small school college football. How did that feel to, play in front of those pro scouts and show what Tommy Larson can do?
It felt good. It was an experience that obviously I've never experienced before, but it wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be. Once I got out onto the field, I kind of just did my thing, and I actually got a sack in the game too, so that was also pretty cool. It was fun. It was more fun than anything. I actually made a lot of buddies down there too in the 3 days that we were there. So being in front of the scouts, it's one of those things where it's just like you just got to do what you got to do. It's an interview, essentially. You're interviewing. So yeah, it can be a little demanding, especially during the practices, because we actually, a lot of the scouts were our coaches for practice and the game. So having, our D-line coach was a scout for the XFL at the time. So yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking, but you just do what you do as an athlete, So.
And then last year, you were recognized as an all-conference honorable mention and possibly the toughest conference in the NAIA especially. How was that feeling for you to get recognized on a national level, but also did it kind of ignite a fire to kind of erase that word honorable mention and get first or second team this year?
Yeah, it was definitely an honor for sure. I expected more. I'm way more of a team-oriented guy. I don't really look at personal, things that much. I think they're important because it means that you played the best you could play. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's about the team. But yeah, no, it lit me up. I thought I was going to get more than that. I think I deserve more than that. But, it is what it is. And hopefully this year we can, win a lot of games and we can get a lot more guys on that list at a higher, achievement. So, yeah.
I'm going to throw you a curveball here, Tommy. Didn't give you this one earlier. You go into your senior year, you're anchoring the defense again. You got a brand new system run by Coach McCoy, who plans to play, a hard-nosed system for you guys this year. What kind of leadership role have you taken on?
Well, actually, it's funny because I've ran this defense before at a previous school that I was at. I won't say the name, but I think I've taken a leadership role in a way where the younger guys are looking up to me and asking me what to do. How do we run this stunt? How do we do this? How do we line up? And it's an honor, actually, because being so experienced in football and for doing it for so long, I know a lot of stuff. So I can help those younger guys and the guys that don't really understand. And yeah, it is a tough-nosed defense. He's a tough-nosed coach, but I really like him a lot. I think he's making a difference here for sure. And I think it's going to be a great year for everybody. I think the D-line, we got a lot of really, really talented guys that are starting to get the hang of the whole scheme, and I think it's going to be something special for sure.
Thank you, Tommy. Sean Massa, Tommy Larson. Let's stick on the note of defense and shoot it over to Nick Miller. Sean Massa joined by senior linebacker Nick Miller. Nick, we said it right there. Senior year, you've been with the program since 2021. How does it feel to be back in the Crusader Blue?
It's great. I'm excited.
And then I know it sounds crazy to say. 2021, this is going to be your fourth season as a Crusader. You're one of the more longer tenured players on the roster. How is that kind of instilled mentally during practice and camp as kind of being a leader for the younger guys on the team?
It's good. It's nice to coach up the younger guys and just see all the same people come back.
And then you, as a linebacker, had a pretty solid season last year. You've had a good career here at Madonna, but now you have a defensive coordinator who was an All-American linebacker in 2008. How has that been for you with Coach McCoy this offseason, with him kind of helping you and mentoring you a little to get ready for hopefully a big senior year?
It's nice. He shows a lot of his personal experience along with what he's learned through coaching. So
that's Nick Miller, senior linebacker for the Crusaders, getting ready to hopefully lead the Crusaders to a big 2024 season. That's the defensive side of the ball. We'll shoot it to the offensive side of the ball, starting with the offensive line, the anchor of the offense with Luke Crocker. We talked to the coaches, we talked to the defense. Now we'll move to the offensive side of the ball, and we'll start with possibly the most important unit, the offensive line. We're talking to senior offensive lineman Luke Crocker. Said it right there. Senior year. How does it feel to be back?
Fantastic. There's a lot that we want to do, a lot that we want to accomplish, especially for myself personally. So with the coaching change and through the spring, learning who the coaches were, I thought this was a no-brainer. We definitely just want to, get better, and I want to see this program grow into what I think it could be.
And we talked about it amongst ourselves, and you kind of had an interesting reaction to it, but one that's very characteristic of a senior veteran on this team now. How does that feel, and what kind of leadership has that kind of instilled?
It is strange being one of the first two classes where there was no veteran guys, and now you're kind of the old head in the room. So it's a little different from when I got here. But as far as my leadership style, I've always been you got to work, because if you're not a guy that's putting in the work or doing the right thing, then everybody looks at you. And even if you're a vocal leader, words are just words, and your actions mean more than your words do.
And then goals are a huge part of the game. Every team has goals. Every group among a team has goals. What kind of goals has the offensive line as a whole, but also Philip Gould kind of put into play for the offensive line group?
We want to be a physical unit as far as imposing our will onto other defensive line and defenses as a whole, but also very sharp in our technique, making sure we're doing the things right, protecting our guys, and taking pride in what we do.
I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball here. How has this year kind of felt different to the last couple of years you've been here with, the new regime, everything kind of new scheme, new, almost up and down?
It's been a huge change as far as some of the older guys have kind of felt. It's a lot more energy. It feels good to have something new in the building. There's a lot of scars because of what we've been through, and I think a lot of those are healing now, and we all feel better. So we're just excited to get this thing going and get a win this year.
Thank you, Luke. We'll move over to the wide receiver group. We have Emerson Combs waiting on the other side. We move over to the quote-unquote skill players. The offensive line may have something to say about that one, but we go to the wide receiver room and we talk to Emerson Combs. Emerson, you were part of that 1-2 punch with Devontae Garrett last season, and you had a great breakout year. You had a career high in yards per reception, led the team in touchdowns with 3 of them. How does it feel to be back for another season?
I'm really excited. I look to build off the year I had last year and come back and have a better year this year.
And then everyone knows wide receivers. It's at every level of football. They love to get the football in space and make plays. How does it feel not only to know you have that ability to make plays, but now know that you have a coaching staff and a scheme that their main priority is getting their wide receivers the football in space?
It's awesome. But I'm not too worried about getting the ball. I want to win, and whatever it takes to do that is what I'm worried about.
And then I want to talk about that winning, the new culture, the new coaching staff. How has that been for you as a player, throughout the entire offseason, getting not only you and the wide receiver group, but really the entire offense ready with the new schemes before week 0?
It's been night and day difference. The culture has shifted immensely. When Coach came in the spring, he really changed that. That was a focus of his. And throughout the summer, there's been contact, routinely, and just getting to know one another very well. And I feel like we have a good group of guys that are all on the same mission.
That's Emerson Combs talking. The Crusaders will play week 0 against Indiana Wesleyan, one of the best teams in the NAIA, a challenge for Coach Gminski's squad early in the Gminski era.